Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode of the Ruckus with Alex Himes. Today, I'm excited to do an interview with someone that I've been watching very closely on social media. This is a big influencer who's started his own page from the ground up, making waves on the scene, and that is Brett Marquardt. All right. So just to give some background for those who don't know who Brett is the founder, runner, owner of the Instagram channel Basketball Studios. Basketball Studios posts tons of up-to-date content regarding the NBA scene very quickly, very efficiently, and it's some of the nicest, cleanest, sleekest stuff I've seen, as you can see on the screen right now. Brett has done a phenomenal job growing this from the ground up. So let me ask you something first off, Brett. Who are your favorite teams currently? Or actually, I should say this. Who is your favorite team and home team for you?
Okay, so it's kind of weird, which I think a lot of Derrick Rose fans could say this. So Derrick Rose is like my idol. That's my guy. You know, there's a lot of like Kobe stans. There's a lot of people that follow LeBron a lot. Blah blah blah. I'm kind of like that with Derrick Rose. I was kind of a fan of him, and like I bandwagoned him whenever I was in fourth grade in like 2011. But like I think I root for the Timberwolves, which I kind of just root wherever Derrick Rose goes. So whenever he was on the Knicks, whenever he was on the Cavs, whenever he's on the Timberwolves, that's the team that I pretty much root for. It's wherever Derrick goes. But like when Derrick retires and all that, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan at heart. For one, my parents were Chicago Bulls fans. Chicago's like the closest city to me that has an NBA team. You could say Indiana or Memphis since I'm in St. Louis, but Chicago's always going to be that team. At the end of the day. So I'd probably say I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, but I'm rooting for the Timberwolves right now because Derrick Rose is on there, if that makes sense.
I can't hate on that. Honestly, I've been on the record stating that I can't hate against a guy who's had such a terrible injury or injuries and is making a comeback like he is. Like, it's nothing short of one, inspirational, and two, I just love watching it because you have so many people who have talked so much smack for the last couple of years saying Derrick Rose is old, washed up, he should retire, you know, going around with the issues that he had when he was in Cleveland, being away from the team, just things like that. No one thought this guy would be able to make a comeback like he has. And for him to be doing what he's doing, being like a vote getter for the All-Star game after all these years, like, it's nothing short of amazing, and I can't help but root for the man. And it's also great to see that he's having these insane games and proving people wrong. I mean, no one thought this man would drop a 50-point game, right? Like, and look what he did.
I'm a Derrick Rose fan. Now, there's a lot of Derrick Rose fans on Instagram. I don't want to name names, but there's so many Derrick Rose accounts that, like, if you told him he was going to drop 70 at the season, they'd probably be like, yeah, probably. But if you told me personally, if you told Brett that Derrick Rose was going to score 50 points at the beginning of the season, I'd be like, 35 is probably going to be his high.
Exactly.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah.
If you told me a 50-point night, whenever he's scoring on Rudy Gobert pretty much in the paint the whole entire night, I would not have believed that at all.
I would have said BS as well. I mean, just like if you told me that Terrence Ross would have had a 52-point game when he was with Toronto, hell no.
Yeah, or like Mo Williams having like a 55-point night. Like, it's just and that game I think meant a lot more than just the average 50-point night. Like, that was like the main talk in NBA for 3 days straight. Like, usually, you know, now in today's NBA, Stephen Curry drops a 50-point night and we hear about it for 2 minutes and we're done. Derrick dropped a 50-point night and that was in the news for a week. Like, it meant so much more of basketball. The NBA Twitter blew up. You know, there's the Dwayne Wade's, I think LeBron, Isaiah Thomas, like every NBA player tweeted out about Derrick Rose's 50-point night. It was so much more than basketball, in my opinion.
Everyone's rooting for this man. And that's the beauty of basketball. Like, you don't have to be a fan of the team. You don't have to be rooting for the team, but you can root for the dude that everyone knows deserves it. All right. Well, now that I know that you're a Chicago Bulls fan and you're also a Derrick Rose fan, which I very much respect, we got to move on to a couple of the latest topics. All right. Now, I got to ask you, the latest news and the biggest buzz that's been going on for the last couple of years. We all knew Anthony Davis was just giving the Pelicans time to try and figure it out. He didn't want to be a bad guy. I get it. No one wants to be the guy who requests a trade because then you get vilified in the media by guys like myself or by any of the people on ESPN. But He finally has quote unquote requested a trade, which the NBA has now cited him $50K for doing, for quote unquote tampering, which no, I don't believe it. I think you want to trade, you make it clear and you get out like Kyrie did.
Right.
But
Yeah.
to you, we keep hearing about these rumors. Will he go to Boston? Will he go to Los Angeles? Now there's Toronto in the mix, San Antonio, all these places. Aside from where he ends up, do you think he gets traded before the deadline or at the end of the season?
I would probably say at the end of the season. I think New Orleans, it's kind of like how the Timberwolves were with Jimmy Butler. They just waited it out as long as possible. Like, come on, change your mind, change your mind, change your mind. Which I think Anthony Davis is pretty clear with them that he's not going to change his mind. But at the same time, I can see them being desperate. I mean, whatever. Who's selling tickets in New Orleans? Drew Holiday's not selling tickets in New Orleans. They're getting all their money from Anthony Davis.
100%.
And you could almost say it's a steal that the guy's only getting paid $29 million a year. Like he might be a $40 million a year player. So, I think he's going to be a free agent in the 2020 summer. Isn't that right?
Yes.
All right. So I could just see them just waiting out the season. It doesn't seem like he's like going to turn into Kawhi or Jimmy Butler saying, I'm going to sit out this night because I just don't want to play. I think he's just saying, hey. I think he's helping out the Pelicans, if I have to be honest. What he's saying right now is, I'm not going to re-sign. Go ahead and get somebody for me. I don't think he's trying to backstab them. I don't think he's all sour against the Pelicans. I think he's saying, look, if I'm going to be real right now, I'm not going to go to the media and say the BS line that, oh, man, I want to be here my whole career. No, I want to be traded, but at the same time, I'm fine if you guys get somebody for me. I don't want you guys just to be cold-handed and just get nobody in return if I leave in the offseason. I think he's just telling them, hey, I'm not coming back. Get somebody in return, because New Orleans is not a free agent destination. If we kind of can just look at it objectively, nobody's going to go to New Orleans.
100%.
So
I agree with you.
They need to get some young talent or some picks, because in order to land an all-star, that's not going to happen. Like, what all-star is really going to go to New Orleans if there's no other all-star there? I
couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, people I talk to have been saying, oh, he's going to get traded to the Lakers by the deadline. Oh, this, that, and these and those. To me, it's like, no. All right. New Orleans is going to do what's best for the team, which is they're going to put on a table all the trades they have and maximize the value they get for Davis. The thing they have going for them is the guy's under contract till 2020. He can re-sign this summer, but he is under contract. So they have leverage here. And of course, yeah,
they can wait it out. They can wait it out this season, and they can wait it out next season.
Yeah, really exactly. They can prolong this as much as they want. And and that's the thing, because people say the Lakers are going to get him by the deadline, and it's like, no, they're not. The Pelicans, all right, I'm biased slightly because I'm a Celtics fan, but I do think that there is some merit in this, because every NBA analyst on ESPN and the majority of people agree that the Celtics have the best package to offer them in terms of win now players, long-term players, and future assets. The Celtics can offer them guys in a sign and trade scenario like Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown. They can offer a bunch of picks. I'm sure the only guy off the table for the Celtics is Jason Tatum. And this is, barring this is the offseason move because of the Rose rule. So I think the Celtics have the best chance to land Anthony Davis. Even without including Jason Tatum, I still think that's the case. And that's why for the Pelicans, this is in their benefit to not make a move at the deadline. Because even if the Lakers say, oh, you have this deal on the table where it's Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Lonzo Ball, and a couple of picks, they can still say, well, this summer the Celtics are going to offer us basically that and then some. So if you want the same trade, wait till the summer. We'll adjust it then, see how it is, and we'll make it a bidding war, which is in their best interest.
Yeah. I feel like, kind of just to go with the Lakers, there's been the whole post like, oh, would Alonzo, Brandon Ingram, Kuzma, and the pick be good?
No.
This is my theory. For one, they need a plan for after LeBron days.
100%.
And then at the same time, I don't think so. There's 4 people that can possibly get traded. It's going to be Josh Hart, Kuzma, Ingram, Ball. I think it's going to be a guard and forward package. It's not going to be Ingram and Kuzma going, but it's not going to be Lonzo and Hart going. It's either going to be Hart and Ingram, Hart and Kuzma, Lonzo and Ingram, or Lonzo and Kuzma. It's going to be a guard forward package with a pick. Now, in my personal opinion, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and maybe 2 first-round picks should go to New Orleans. I think they need to keep Lonzo and they need to keep Kuzma, and those should be the untouchables for their young assets. I think those are the two guys that are going to be great post LeBron era, because we're going to have a young playmaker and we have a young scorer. Where Josh Hart is just a catch and shoot player, and Brandon Ingram, I think, is just another Andrew Wiggins.
100%.
So
very overrated.
I would say Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, 2 first-round picks. If that's not the deal, then the Lakers just need to. I think Kuzma is the most untouchable guy, in my personal opinion.
See, for me, I agree with you. Kuzma is the most untouchable. But if I'm New Orleans, I'm going to the Lakers and saying, if I don't get Lonzo, if I don't get Brandon Ingram, and, whether it's Josh Hart or Kuzma, I push for Kuzma, but if the Lakers are reluctant, I'll take Hart, I'll take Zubac, and I'll take a couple of picks. But I'm not taking anything less than 3 players, as well as at least 2 to 3 picks. Because in terms of picks, pick-wise, the Celtics technically have better picks. Now, mind you, we're talking about picks that they've acquired from other teams who have worse records. And they're also not going to be top 10 picks, most likely, given some of them are Sacramento, Memphis, and one is a Clipper pick, I'm pretty sure, and they have their own. But those are still valuable commodities because they will be higher than the Lakers picks, just because the Lakers are going to make the playoffs every year with LeBron in the lineup. And those teams that the Celtics have the picks of aren't slotted to necessarily make a playoff run or necessarily be contenders. So would I take the offer where I get 3 to 4 picks from the Celtics, as well as 2 guards, and maybe if the Celtics are willing to throw in a guy like Aaron Baines, or maybe a sign and trade with Al Horford, which, mind you, I don't want to see Al Horford go. I like him on the Celtics. He's a perfect fit, and he's the perfect mold player. But if they're willing to get
he's also old, too. They need an old guy.
Exactly.
At least, 25.
Yeah, exactly. And if they can run with that, I'm New Orleans. I go back to Los Angeles and say, let's play this chess match right now. You're either going to give me X, Y, and Z plus 1, 2, and 3 in terms of picks, or I'm going to Boston, calling Danny Ainge, saying, yes, let's take that deal and move. Which is why I think the Pelicans should wait till the summer to move him, because if they're going to move him at the deadline, that signals, 1, an urgency to get out of him, or to get him out of there, which also means they're not necessarily going to get the best package in return. And 2, it means that they're giving in as opposed to waiting long term to actually accurately check out their situation. And besides, I heard this interview with Adrian Wojnarowski saying that the Celtics and the Pelicans could conceivably have a deal in the books by, by the draft, and they could just move on from there.
Yeah, I personally think if I'm the Celtics, now I don't know, because there's going to be a lot of these sentimental NBA fans and maybe Boston fans are going to get mad at me. Gordon Hayward has to be traded.
Oh, 100%. No, I'm with you.
You're paying the guy $30 million. I'm sorry. I know he got injured. My man can barely get 10 points. You're paying him $30 million to be a nice, ball movement guy.
Hey, okay, look, I will put it like this. The moment that he went down with an injury, it was rough. But the moment that Jason Tatum showed us who he is, that made Gordon Hayward the odd man out on the Celtics roster.
Right.
The moment.
I think my perfect deal. Now, I don't know how the whole logistics work with money and all that. I don't know everybody's salaries, but if we go Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, and maybe a couple picks for Anthony Davis, that's probably the deal I would do. Why? Because now Jason Tatum gets more shots, Kyrie gets more shots. Now we have Anthony Davis that can get the ball more. It's more important about that the main guys get all the shots, because I think the biggest problem with the Celtics is how are these shots really going to be spread out across
There are too many balls. There's not enough balls to go around, 100%.
Yeah, and it's not like the whole Warriors thing where it's just a ton of all-stars. It's just a lot of players that are scorers, and that's just the biggest problem. Because whenever I was watching the Warriors and Celtics game not too long ago, although they hung in there with the Warriors, blah, 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 the Celtics' biggest weakness is it's all isolation. Is if Kyrie can't get a shot off, he passes it to Tatum. If Tatum can't get a shot off, he passes it to Morris. For some reason, they have Morris being an isolation guy. If Morris can't, ISO up and do something, it's just a pass, ISO. And that's something I've noticed with the Celtics team. Yeah, they might pull
100%.
out some nice ball movement plays here and there. But I see a lot of isolation with that team. They need somebody I think they just need to get rid of Brown and Hayward to give these guys a little bit more shots. And I think Jason Tatum is the most untouchable guy on that team.
He's the only untouchable guy in my book. And for me, I know for a fact that if the Celtics want Kyrie Irving, he will re-sign this summer. So I'm not even including him potentially leaving, right? So Kyrie Irving's in the unit. You have Jason Tatum. The guys that are up, Danny Ainge will not let a guy go without getting value in return. Terry Rozier turned down the extension, so he's an unrestricted free agent going into the summer. So they're going to move him. Either it's before the deadline or a sign and trade. Once the offseason begins, he's good as gone. So make a move. Get something for Terry Rozier. He's a starting point guard in this league on most teams. So maybe trade him and get 2 picks, a first and a second. Maybe someone that's coming off of an expiring contract who's useful. Salary cap. Anything that gets you something to make you that much more attractive to the Pelicans, or, just keeping them on the roster and doing a sign and trade. That I do think by the end of the season or by the start of next season, Anthony Davis will be on the Celtics only because they have the better package and the more assets to go and trade around to other teams to accumulate more stuff, whether that's picks or players on expiring deals, to send to New Orleans for him.
And also with Boston, my ideal lineup for Boston is Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Anthony Davis. Those need to be the top 4 guys. And then they would be so good if they have the Baines and the Marcus Smarts coming off the bench. If they can get some of those nice just guys that just do their job.
Morris.
But you can have Morris in the lineup, or you can have Marcus Smart doing starting shooting guard, whatever. Because Smart doesn't care if he shoots the ball at all. So if you could just slide him in at the shooting guard spot, that's a great starting 5. And then if you just have some nice little pieces like Morris and Baines coming off the bench, I mean, that's a total competitor to the Golden State Warriors in my books.
I agree with you, and it should show just by how they were able to play against the Warriors the other day when they lost 115 to 111. I mean, this team is almost right there, and they pick and choose their games that they want to play, but they're almost there. All right, so before we get done, I want to ask you real quick, who is your NBA Finals matchup this year, and who wins?
Celtics Warriors, and I'm going to go with the Warriors as much as I don't want to say it. But, I honestly think it could be a 6-game series. I think a lot of people are thinking at this Warriors team. At the beginning of the season, once they got Boogie, we thought it's going to be a sweep, 82-0 type of thing. This is going to be like the Monstars. But then at the same time, I'm like, there could be some problems. I mean, we look at Draymond Green. That dude is not close to anywhere near where he was. No. And it's not because of the stars he has. I think, and I said 2 years ago that Draymond Green is just an average role player. And I think now it's really starting to show. The guy, I think his body is just not that great, especially for his position. He's a workhorse, but at the same time, he has some pudding on him, and that's not going to last in the league where you're going up and down the court, especially whenever your role is to be the most tenacious defender in the world. That's just not going to be good on his body. So I think, and it just seems like this Warriors team kind of gets bored at times. It's kind of just
stagnant. They're just playing games, and it's they forget that they're actually playing legitimate teams.
Because they don't have they don't have anything to chase after. No. They have no chip on their. They don't, and I don't even blame them. They just don't have a chip on their shoulder. Why? Because they're the easy. They've been the favorite for the past 4 years to win the finals. Now, obviously, they haven't won all the 4 years. Blah blah blah. But do you really think that the Warriors, whenever they got Kevin Durant, were wow, our team to beat is the Cavs now? No. They've known for the past 3 years that they're going to win the NBA Finals. So I think it's going to be the Warriors, but I'll be really excited to see the Celtics in the finals. I think the NBA is at its best whenever LA, Chicago, New York, and Boston are all good. And right now we have 2 of the 4 teams that are, on the rise.
I love it. So I said at the beginning of the season, I made a bet with my roommates back in Lexington saying that the Celtics would play the Warriors and the Celtics would win. And that's because I was anticipating Jaylen Brown making a seamless transition with the starting unit, and also Gordon Hayward playing a decent role. I had high expectations because I watched Paul George do it. So for me now, I still believe the Celtics make it to the finals and play the Warriors. And I think that the Celtics do lose in 6 games. But I think that it's a very big attractive point to guys like Anthony Davis, some of these other teams, that even though there's this dysfunction, they still get it together. Well, everyone, you heard it. Go check out Basketball Studios, one of the best pages on Instagram to get your NBA news, catch updates, and just great content overall. Brett, thank you for making an appearance on today's show, man. It's been fun causing a ruckus with you.
I appreciate you having me.
Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.